Hey guys, Matt here. Just one last video on this tabernacle. This will just be a quick one, but yesterday we talked about the covering and the 5 layers of the covering, and if you looked underneath that covering, you would see the framework excuse me, would appear to be gold. It was gold, but it was covered with wood. And in particular, when we think about the ark, right, the Ark of the Covenant, the Ark of the Covenant was a wooden box essentially, which was completely encapsulated, enclosed in gold. And this is really significant because this, in essence, talks about, again, the gospel of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ leaving his heavenly home, his kingly position, becoming a man, and then dying on the cross, raising again, and going back home. The gold always symbolizes kingship or kingliness. So the gold in the ark, let's take the ark just because it's a good example. So you'd have a layer of gold, then you'd have a layer of wood, and then you'd have a layer of gold again. And that represents Jesus Christ coming. This is Philippians 2:6 again. Jesus Christ coming in the form of God, because he was God in the very essence and the very being of God. And then he took on, remember, though he was in the form of God, he did not consider equality with God a thing to be grasped. He didn't need to hold on to it. He chose willingly, for a reason, to save us, for a season, to let go of that. He could have picked it up at any time, but he decided to let go of that, and that's when he took on the form, or the morphe, of a man. And he had to do that, as we see in Hebrews, because he had to be perfected by the suffering. He had to go through all the things that we had to go through. See, the sacrifice of a man would cover the sin of a man, right? It took the sacrifice of a God-man to be the propitiation for all the sins of man, past, present, and future. That's what Jesus Christ did, and that's what that gold represents. That's what that ark represents. He was king, gold. He left that and took on the form of man, wood. In the Old Testament, wood always symbolized humanity. So he was gold, king. He took on the form of a man and became wood, and then went back to being king again, gold. I think that's fascinating. This study on the tabernacle and the materials has just been so enlightening to me, and just made the Old Testament, like I said, just come alive. And just it all points to Jesus Christ. And it all was telling, the author was telling the Jews at the time, guys, it's finished. It's done. He's come. And he paid the price. You don't need to go back to circumcision, because the circumcision party was always pulling them back. You don't need to go back to sacrificing animals and temple worship. The Judaizers were pulling them back. No, it's finished. It's done. He became man and went back to being God. And he sits on the right hand of the Father. He sits. He doesn't work like the priests had to do in the holy place. The priests always had to be going. There was no chairs in there because they couldn't sit. It's done. It's finished. He left his kingship, he took on the form of a man, and he returned to his rightful place at the right hand of the Father. I think that's all we're going to do today. And tomorrow we'll likely finish Hebrews 9. Thanks. See ya.